Oh, okay. In the newest Fanta spot, we have a 30-frame shot of a big green lizard crushing a breakaway building. And this here is the clay original that I sculpted of the big green lizard.
And excuse me, also explain, this is adding texture, right? So maybe
Yeah,
you could
sure.
talk about
Yeah, I'll
that
go over the
exactly.
tools I'm using here.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, what we have here, this is for the new Fanta spot. It's a big green lizard that's going to be crushing a breakaway building that'll all be animated in stop motion. And this is the clay original of the big green lizard that is sculpted. And basically just, he's pretty damaged from having already come out of the mold. And this is a pad with the skin texture on it. So basically, once I've sculpted in these wrinkles, things which are supposed to look like a guy in a big rubber suit, they go over them with this pad to give them the lizard skin texture. After this was done, I made a 4-part mold of this clay model. As you can see, I sculpted these walls basically along all these halfway points along the lizard's arms and along the side of the head. And then we pour this casting stone along those pieces and make 4 interlocking pieces. This is the finished plaster mold here. Then basically the armature is positioned into the mold and locked in place, similar to this one. This is the type of armature we use for a quick shot like this. We also do ball and socket armatures. And then once he's locked into place and all these registration points, the 4 pieces are placed together. Maybe strap down. And then we have this mixture called silicone that we've been making a lot of our models out of. And it's a very gooey sort of substance that can be pigmented to the color of whatever model you're making. And that's green for the big lizard here. And we use what is basically a big syringe, load the gooey silicone into there, add the catalyst, and inject it into this hole here. And then a day later, you pull out a big rubber green lizard, which another model builder here has built a great breakaway building that I'm animating coming apart as the big lizard brings his hand down and crushes it. So, let's see that.
That's so fabulous.
Great. That's basically the way in which the armature would be positioned.
Staffing meeting in the screening room in 2 minutes.
We can set them into here firmly and then we'll pull them out. He has yet to have his teeth added and the eyes painted and a few other details before he'll be ready to go. The finished silicone is also gone over with a light patina of other colors to give the scales the realistic look that we want it. And we've been using silicone lately basically because foam latex, which was the industry standard for this type of model animation, tends to wrinkle a lot and it doesn't hold up well. it has a very short shelf life once it's fully cured. And the silicone lasts, I haven't seen it completely break down as yet, and it doesn't wrinkle at all. It moves very much like real flesh or like rubber, which is what we wanted it to look like in this case.
Can we see this silicone stuff again? Explain the silicone.
Okay, this is basically, it starts out as a transparent mixture, and we add the green pigment to it. So it's basically cast up in one single color. And as you can see, it's a very viscous, sort of a gooey substance that you mix with a catalyst, which activates it and turns it into a solid rubber, which is, this is the remnants of what came out of the injection gun. So this is what our big lizard is made out of.
About the injection gun again, and explain it.
Okay, basically, you pull the plunger down here, and you load the silicone into the gun, taking care not to get any air trapped in there, because the air bubbles could then end up in the mold and on the finished model. You place the cap back on, and then once the mold is reassembled and strapped together, there's a hole in the back of the mold, which we inject into. And these holes are for overflow, where the excess silicone spills out, allowing it to flow into all the various parts of the mold and completely fill out the model. And then once it's removed, you get basically a version of this in silicone, which we have out on the set now. This is just basically works just like a giant syringe. This is the remnants of one of our other models together, if those are part of one segment. It's pretty obvious this armature didn't fit into the mold. But, I suppose, yeah, if you don't see it fully, yeah.
You showed me that. That again. That was something.
This is a rubber texture pad, which we've taken from a piece of. It's a rubber texture pad made out of rubber latex that's put over a surface that has a texture that we want to duplicate off of, for instance, a plastic bottle or a piece of leather or something like that that we can then use to duplicate another skin surface that we want. And this is a lizard skin. It's basically just pressed into the clay once you've sculpted it into whatever form you want. You can actually use it to sculpt with just by sort of pressing your wrinkle or your shape or whatever you want into it. And then that high point even has the texture that you wanted. And then once that's cast into the mold, it reproduces that.
Let's see what we got.
This basically is what we call a frame grabber. It's a great animation tool. It digitally stores video information, and so you can basically see what you're doing frame by frame before you shoot it on film. So we've got the big lizard coming through here, and another thing that we do is so this is the first frame. You trace where the hand is on the monitor, and then when you're actually positioning the model, you can check both using the system of flipping back and forth and then redrawing it usually with a different color. to see exactly how much movement you've put into the model. And so on. And this is a breakaway building here that was built by one of our model makers, Tom Sorum, that can come apart and go back together again, so it can be shot as many times as necessary. And run this at speed. That's through. This can hold up to 64 frames, and this was only a 30-frame shot, so I was able to have it on here twice. Do one practice run and see exactly what it looks like, and then get it actually shot as I'm putting it on film. This is the actual model over here. You can see. It is armatured so that it can bend at all the critical points. The fingers move. What you'll do is as you're bringing the hand back, you put this sort of action in, which is sort of a follow-through motion. As the hand comes back, it moves back like this, and then as it comes forward, it bends back the other way, and all the fingers and all of the joints follow through like they do in real motion, which you learn from.
Say that again to me. I'm going to go wide. It was a little tight and I was moving it.
Okay.
The armature motion, hand goes back wide.
Okay. This is basically a follow-through action, where basically all of the joints correspond to what the major motion is, which is the hand going back here. So as it comes back, you move the hand a little farther forward, and each finger successively a little farther forward as well, until you reach a peak where the hand is as far back as you want it, and all of these fingers are down. You have like one still frame basically, because there's like a pause at that point, which you learn from watching reference film of real motion. And then you start to bring the hand forward and do the same thing in reverse. Although this is a much faster motion because he's bringing the hand down really fast. So there would be, as you can see on the grabber here, there's quite a gap as he brings the hand forward. See the 4-point there, moves all the way here, which is just on the verge of moving too fast, because if something in animation moves outside of its former frame, it can look like it's strobing, which is what you want to avoid with stop motion. But it has to be fast, so if you bring the hand down, and then once it contacts the building, this is designed so that it can completely dissolve, which you can probably see the little cracks here, but as fast as the actual shot will be running, you don't have time to perceive that. So he brings the hand in. You have a frame of the roof just starting to come off, which you can see on the grabber once again. Just the first couple frames of action. And then as he successively moves, you move every part of the body to follow the same action of him bringing the hand back. When he draws back, his shoulder moves back, all the hands and the fingers come in, and then as he comes forward, you move all of that basically in reverse. Bringing this hand down as if he were going through this actual action. And at the same time, he's laughing here, so his mouth is fully movable, and so are the eyes. And then frame by frame, the building just collapses on itself. And every piece has been wired into place so that it can be moved and basically tracked down as if it were really falling apart. Normal motion. So basically I would move him that much, check the grabber, make sure that I'm liking what I see here, and then once I'm sure that I've got something that looks good and is fluid motion, I record it on the grabber, so I have a digital frame of it stored, and then I shoot a frame of film. And basically, this allows you to keep an exact record of what the shot's going to look like as you go, and have it before you even see the processing the next day. So storaging. This is made in about 7 pieces that collapse here. As it comes down. Various floors are armatured so they can bend down and collapse. With the windows spinning out of frame like so. And you just basically, since this is a short shot, only about 30 frames, you just basically follow this one action all the way through. So he brings this arm in, he spins back this direction, and this arm comes back up a little. And then he also curls his fingers back in, and the mouth closes. And you can see the highlights and the shadows that have been added to the silicone, which is cast originally in this dark green color. And the very fleshy sort of consistency that it has, which is definitely a benefit for animation. You don't see wrinkles you don't want, and yet you can put in wrinkles that you do. Trying to keep the wires out of the view of the camera here as the pieces collapse on themselves, and also repeatedly checking on the grabber that each piece is tracking down at a realistic. Let's see if you follow this window here as it comes down. You have to watch each of these 8 or 9 pieces as they track down and see that they have fluid action. So that hand follows through, and then this one comes down. And these eyes are also just little pieces of the same type of silicone that the surface tension holds in place. Be positioned wherever. We pretty much had him looking at the building while he was laughing and smashing it. And we pretty much stopped all of the debris falling at about this point. And, used about 20 frames for the collapse of the building, which ended up looking pretty quick that the building is fully coming down and collapsing under its own weight. His mouth can open, so you get a pretty extreme point for the laugh. It can open about that far, so he goes all the way closed and opens up.
Just keep punching it.
Okay. You just want to see it at speed, or?
I want to see if the fingers in.
Okay. on let's see, capture one. So this is basically the image that we're seeing on the camera right now, and it's already been grabbed into digital memory, so that goes back to the camera that we're actually seeing. That's the digital memory frame. So by putting this on to the current camera picture, we can move it slightly and compare that to the grabbed frame. And these certainly help also to track the motion. This being the current position. We'll take a shot of that. And then we've got both of those stored. Go back to the camera, and we can move this again. Grab that frame, and you see them in sequence, like so. It's a definite benefit over when we were just using the video cameras and the monitors and doing this sort of tracing to see where our action was going that way. Sometimes people would have like 3 cameras set up to see from different angles because the character isn't always moving in one constant line of motion in one direction that you can track with a single camera from one point of view. And these are certainly a far cry better than the motion pointers that we used to use that would just move in and out of frame to record basically where the arm was in actual space. It would be moved in on a hinge and can be moved out.
Good stuff, yeah. This is
Pretty reconstructed. Which I'll do sort of a quick version of here.
And this is the back. See, the characters are not sculpted from the back. No reason for that. This is not their best side. Okay, let's see what it looks like. This was the previous frame, and this is this one, so it looks like it's just a little too much. all minimal movements in there. They have to be bored. So we want to keep it very, very slow. Now the cow ears. Maybe just a touch more. That should do. Now the pianist. So what you're seeing is actually the camera moving in. He's falling asleep. Okay. Actually see that a bit. Now there's something here. There's a light and I'm afraid this one got bumped.